This is the Groton Board of Education Curriculum Committee meeting of June 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. The meeting is entirely remote. Online, we have Dr. Ackerman, we have Dr. Mancini, and we have Mitch Shinbrat, the only non-doctor here. Um, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. And first item on the agenda, I believe, is to review the meeting minutes of May 4th, 2026. And I had reviewed them and I had no issue. I don't know if we have to put it on the floor to vote on accepting them, or we can just um, ask and get a um,
I'm fine with them.
you're fine with them?
Yes.
Okay. I am too. So, uh, Anne Marie, I think you wrote them. So let's go with where that we are accepting the minutes of the last meeting, which was May 4th, 2026. No changes. Okay. Um, Item 3 on the agenda is the GPS strategic plan, pillar number 1, accelerate academic achievement. And this may be a good time to transfer the discussion lead over to Anne Marie. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Mitch. All right,
Thank
so
you.
I've prepared an agenda here for you today. Thank you so much for transferring the meeting over to me. You just went over the minutes. I'm going to go over two main things for you today: the strategic plan. I want to specifically review accelerate academic achievement, which is our first pillar. And the reason why I want to go over this is because so much of the work of our first pillar in our strategic plan really relates to the work that we do here in our curriculum committee. And so I thought it would just be really interesting as a committee to see the work that we did as a district and see how it relates to this particular committee. And then right from following that, I wanted to kind of go over the work that we did here. I thought it was natural transition to review the work of this curriculum committee that we did this year, kind of do a year in review. There will be a little bit of overlap, but this committee did a lot of work this year, and I just thought it would be worth it to kind of review that work and kind of look back and reflect on that work. And then that would lead naturally, I thought, to the referral tracker sheet, and what work we might want to start looking at for next year. So that's kind of my plan for today. And of course, as always, if there's any questions as I'm presenting, feel free to stop me and ask me a question at any time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good. All right. So again, strategic plan, looking at the strategic plan, specifically pillar number 1. And here, as you can see, we always start the same way by grounding our work in the strategic plans and our pillars. And specifically, I'm going to focus on pillar number 1, which is accelerate academic achievement. Now, when we developed our pillars last year, we identified specific priority areas. So the first priority area that we identified as a committee was that we wanted to ensure a comprehensive standards-aligned curricula for all students in grades K through 12, pre-K through 12, I'm sorry. I can't forget our friends in pre-kindergarten. And so here is the work that we did so far this year. We researched, piloted, and selected a new curriculum resource for mathematics, and we established that helped us to establish instructional coherence in K-8. We did the same work, if you recall, for ELA in grades 6 through 8, and that will help us to build on existing routines and structures and to maintain the rigor and momentum that we have in our K-5 literacy program. And I can't tell you how excited that I am to move forward in math and literacy with what we're doing. And I want to thank this particular committee for all the support that you gave me this year as we piloted a number of resources in both math. Well, we piloted really one main resource in math, but we piloted a number of resources in English language arts, Um, and just we're ready. Our teachers, I think, are really excited to move forward. I can't tell you how many teachers in math have reached out to me, particularly at the elementary level, to say, we're so excited with the work that we're going to do in illustrative math and where we're moving forward in that program. And I know that our English language arts teachers, again, particularly at the elementary level, how excited they are that our middle school teachers are going to be continuing the work that they've started to build on in our elementary program with Wit and Wisdom. This year, starting last summer, we revised or wrote curricula for 20 different courses last summer. And we developed a plan this year for updating and writing new curricula in an additional 24 courses. Now, we're really not writing new curricula. As you probably remember from this committee, that we don't have a lot of new courses that are being developed, but we have a lot of courses that just needed updating because the courses were, maybe they needed some revisions. And so a lot of, especially as we prepare for our NEAs and C/combined IB reaccreditation update visit that's coming in the fall of 2027, you always have to make sure that your curricula is updated, that everything is in the correct format, and that, there is a curriculum document for everything. So I've been working very closely with the high school staff, but also making sure that we have, of course, updated documents at the middle school and the elementary level as well. So this work has been really important, and I'm just excited that we've had the funding, either through IB grants or even our Title I funding, Title II funding, through pulling together a variety of resources to make sure that we have funding for our teachers to get together in committees and update curricula when we need to. Our second priority under this pillar is to provide engaging student-centered instruction that promotes active learning and meaningful connections. So our three main areas of work in this area is for me to work with the members of our Groton Teaching and Learning Collaborative to create a common or shared understanding of high-quality student-centered instruction. And that's a work in progress still. We've started that work, but we have a draft, but we really need to make sure that in order for it really to be a common understanding of what this definition is, we need to make sure that we have more input from our staff, not just the members of this committee. So we're going to continue that work next year. We've conducted 2 to 3 instructional walkthroughs in each of our schools, and we've provided written feedback as well as suggestions for support. That work, from what I understand, there used to be walkthroughs in all of our schools, but around the time of COVID, that had to stop, and it took a pause. So last year or this year, I kind of restarted those, and they were really well received by our staff and our principals. And that we've offered professional learning sessions designed to promote active learning. And one of the things that, one of the examples I give here is building thinking classrooms. That was something that we initiated in our math classrooms. And it's just one example of some of the active learning strategies that we've started to promote. And then the third area, or priority area under Accelerate Academic Achievement, is to use our district, school, and classroom assessment data to make informed decisions about instruction and improve student outcomes. So we've identified district-wide assessments. We've identified district-wide assessments in math, literacy, and science. We developed a district-wide assessment calendar, and we've scheduled and facilitated student achievement meetings 3 times a year for each school so that they can review student data from their fall, winter, and spring assessments. And student achievement meetings are really, I think, valuable meetings that we've put in place. Schools come in and we work together as a think tank to look at student data, think about what strategies we need to put in place to provide assistance, and then implement interventions in order to make sure that we can improve student outcomes. The next strategy is to ensure equitable access to resources and opportunities, including differentiated interventions and multi-tiered systems of supports. That's commonly known in education now as the MTSS process. So we've identified a list of current supports available at each school. We created an informational resource for families and posted it on our website. And we reviewed our DIBELS and iReady data with our elementary math and literacy specialists and our principals to identify growth in areas in need of opportunity. this was really important last year. At the end of the school year, I worked with all of our principals and I said, what is it that we really feel like we need in terms of our MTSS process? And by and large, everyone said the same thing. We really need to think about what common resources do we have? How can we make sure that our families are aware of what the MTSS process is? And how can we share that with our families so that everyone, understands the process? Okay. That said, I want to stop here before I go on to the next part of the presentation and just take any questions that either you have, Mitch, or Dr. Ackerman has about, the work that we did this year with respect to Pillar 1 and our different priorities.
Well, I had already looked at this, and I think it's a very good summary of everything. I didn't really have any comments or questions, but I can't speak for Dr. Ackerman. I'd like to ask Andrea if she did.
No, the only comment I have, Mitch, is take 2 aspirins and call me in the morning.
Where have I heard that before?
Okay, that was it.
Okay.
All right. Now, I'll transition to the next item on our agenda, which is really the year in review. And we did, I say here we because you two were part of this process in terms of this curriculum committee. We met, if you were, and Mitch, you joined us a little bit late, but starting at the beginning of this year, we had a number of meetings, not just once a month. In the beginning of this year, we felt like we had a lot of work to do with this committee. So we started off by meeting twice a month. And then, around mid-year, we reduced it back down to once a month. But this committee, I believe, has had a lot of accomplishments. And so I thought it would be worthwhile to kind of revisit some of the work that this committee has accomplished this year. And so I want to review that. Some of this will overlap a little bit with what I just reviewed as a part of the strategic plan. But I do feel like as Board of Education members, you also are, a part of the work of the strategic plan. So again, I wanted to take some time to review this. So just this year alone, here are some things that we have accomplished. We updated the GPS curriculum handbook, which was last updated in 2019. So I think that's important. We streamlined the district's curriculum writing and approval process. If you remember, I brought that forward probably in August or September. And it was a long process in terms of getting through. First, I brought it here to the curriculum committee, and then it had to go to the policy committee, and then it had to go to the full board. But after several months, I think by November or December, everything was approved, and the process is now much streamlined. And it's a little bit easier for our teachers to basically propose a new course and to write the curriculum and then ultimately have it approved. It still maintains, I would think, the rigor and of making sure that we have good quality courses, but it does make it a little bit easier. I think originally the process was like 19 months or 21 months, and now it's a little bit quicker for them. We approved revisions to the IB Personal Project, which is a required course for all grade 10 students. That course was significantly revised by 2 of our teachers, and they came and they presented the course revisions to this curriculum committee. Eventually, I believe it also went to the full board, but they came here first and we asked them a number of questions. And I think that, that process was important for making sure, again, that the revisions that were made to the personal project really improve the quality of the course. We revised the district's graduation requirements from 27 to 25, and we made a full recommendation about these revisions to the full board. Now, you might recall, especially you, Dr. Ackerman, that last spring, I believe it was Chairman Washington who asked me to look at our graduation requirements because, we do have, at the time, we had more graduation requirements that were expected of our students than the actual State Department of Education required. And so that, of course, that started here with the curriculum committee, went to policy, and then to the full board. It was also a very long process. I think, again, it didn't get, those did not get approved until December. But I think, again, it was a good process for us to really look at these closely. We did some, as a part of this, we did some extensive research in terms of what courses students were not being successful in, and, you know, a number of things that we looked at. So it was really good and interesting information. We reviewed student performance on the AP, IB, and ECE and all dual enrollment courses during last year. We'll probably do, not even probably, I know we'll do that next year as a part of our work. We reviewed world language offerings and course enrollments in this current school year. We reviewed, oh, I have to see here. I can't see as a part of my screen, sorry. We reviewed the justification. I can't read this. Mitch, can you read that last bullet? I can't read it the way that um, my my screen is.
Yes. It says reviewed justification / rationale given for the quality points, for quality points given to advanced level courses and approved no change.
Yes. So there was a question about quality points that were given to a variety of our courses, whether it be honors courses or AP and IB courses. We reviewed those extensively at the request of one of the board members. And we compared them to how other districts were allocating quality points. And ultimately, we decided not to make a change, but we spent a lot of time on that in one of our meetings. Okay. Additionally, in terms of our work accomplished, we reviewed our programs of study for Groton Middle and Fitch High School. Mitch, I believe that was your first meeting here with us. We approved the proposal to discontinue publishing class rank at Fitch High School, and we moved this forward to the full board for approval, which they did approve. We reviewed new course proposals for 4 new classes in order to write curriculum, and we reviewed and approved 1 completed curriculum document, which was for the IB and professional skills course. We reviewed new math resource selection for K-8 and moved that forward to the board. We reviewed, of course, the new ELA selection for grades 6 through 8 and moved that forward to the board for adoption. And that is it. And I say that is it, knowing that, of course, I just reviewed 2 or 3 slides of the work that we accomplished this year. So I am really proud of the work that we did this year. It's not all about the tracker document, of course, but I know that when I started last year, the tracker document for the curriculum committee was quite lengthy. There were a number of items on the document that had been that dated back to 2018 or even earlier. And I started this year saying to myself, you know, I am going to one by one try to address a number of the items on this document and see if, you know, it's not about addressing the items, but making sure that that I am bringing forward items that are of interest to this curriculum committee and other board members. And I believe that we were able to tackle most of the items that were on that list, as well as some additional ones. Does anyone have any questions or comments about some of the things that I've just reviewed here from this current school year?
You know, I looked at these and I didn't realize how weighty they were, Anne Marie, and how much work that you have put into this until you just reviewed them verbally. It's really a considerable job that you did, and I want to thank you very much for that.
I want to thank you, Dr. Ackerman, too, because again, there were a number of people that were involved in this. I can't tell you how much work I did. I worked very closely with the high school, a number of the middle school staff, of course, you know, elementary school staff as well were involved in this. You certainly were involved in this, a number of other board members. It really was a team effort. But you're right. The tasks that are on here were really, I can't think of one that I would say, wow, that was really an easy one.
Yeah.
The number of the items on here took a lot of time, but I think they were really important.
Yeah, but it took your initiative and your foresight to do that, so don't dismiss what you did.
Thank you.
I happen to agree with Dr. Ackerman. I remember a lot of these presentations when they were given to us, and I know there was a lot of work that went behind each and every one of them, and that there were a lot of questions during our meetings. And I think this is an excellent summary, and we did get a lot done. And you're kind of the lead on it, and you and your team did a great job.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate your support.
You're
So
welcome. Okay.
with that said, you know, our work certainly is not done, and that's the great thing about working in schools is that we always have things to do. So that leads me to the referral tracking sheet that we have that kind of maintains. You'll see here that there are two items on the tracking sheet that they remain ongoing, and that is that we're always going to review reading and writing, and we're always going to review the math curriculum. And so we have some dates on here that those items have been reviewed relatively recently, and we will continue to review those. We'll probably have a presentation on reading and writing next year as well, and as well as how we're doing on the implementation of the new math program as well. So those will stay. We have something on here about the development of a schedule for curriculum updates, and I will work on that for sure next year and bring that forward to this committee, so that we have something, so that we know when science is going to come. We know when there'll be a presentation on CTE. And again, it took me this year to kind of get my feet underneath me and to tackle all of the projects that we needed to tackle this year. But I think next year I'll be able to work on that schedule for curriculum updates. And I know that Mr. Thomas wants to look at the study of IB, and so I will get that on the calendar for next year as well. Are there any other items that said in terms of things that right now we can think of that we want to add on the referral tracker sheet for next year?
I like what's here. I don't know if we need to put something on there regarding um, robotics, because there's I'm not necessarily in the group, but I know most of the people on the board are very concerned about robotics. And I had heard that it was going to become a class or part of the curriculum. So, is that something that would be worthwhile putting on here, or do I not know what?
Definitely. We can add something on robotics. I know the robotics course, if it runs, will run in the second half of the year. But we can do something, and I have to work with the high school on this. In terms, I guess it's going to depend on how the courses shake out. In the beginning of the year, it looks like the course that runs will probably be something related to manufacturing, which is a course that we already have. So let me work on whether it will be something related to what's happening in the manufacturing program or the new robotics course. I know, again, if we're going to add the robotics course, I will be bringing that curriculum forward. So it's really going to depend on, do you want something on the robotics curriculum? Do you want something on the program and how that program is running? So we can continue to talk about that, but I think we can add something related to this to the tracking sheet for sure.
No, one. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Ackerman.
No, I just did it right.
Um, is one thing I'd be very interested in relative to that is what interest is there in the school for a course?
I
And
believe it's interesting that you asked that. I believe that on the meeting on the 15th, one of the things that we're going to look at is the preliminary enrollment in a number of courses on 15th of June. And so that I think is going to be addressed on that date.
And
okay,
is there a curriculum in place?
So there's a curriculum in place. If you remember, a couple of months ago, we looked at the different courses that exist as a part of our dream pathway. And so we do have like we have a manufacturing technology course, and we have like we have an intro to manufacturing technology course, and then a manufacturing tech 1 course, and then we don't have a robotics course.
Right.
But that's why we were going to wait to have it in the second semester.
So when are we going to write it?
We would be, from what I understand, we're going to purchase it. And in that case,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
So that would be
So
something that I could turn around pretty quickly for you guys.
And so when are we going to review it then?
In the early, I hope fall, because the high school's got to make a decision first, if, you know, depending on the enrollment, if they're going to run it. And then if they tell me they're going to run it, then we'll go out and, you know, make the purchase, in which case, as soon as we make the purchase, you'll review it.
And are you familiar with any other high schools that have a robotics course?
I'm not right now, Dr. A. I have to say honestly, when I worked at CREC, they actually, that's been a long time ago. I think I left CREC in 2013. I was one of the magnet schools that they had there was the Greater Hartford Academy of Math and Science, which is now actually called something else. But they had a number of very, very high level math and science classes. I believe that robotics was one of many high level, you know, higher level math courses, math and science type courses, or STEM, you would call them maybe STEM courses. But I was not intimately familiar with the, you know, with the course curriculum.
Yeah, I've never heard of one anywhere. And I'm just curious as to why we're even thinking about it. You know, I mean, you don't know it, and you know the state, and there's that only one from 2013. And
Oh, I think now probably they're a little bit more, you know, they're a little bit more popular. That, you know, that was a long time ago. I mean,
right.
that's a school that was, you know, they were running classes in thermodynamics and fluids and all kinds of courses that, you know, when I would read their course catalog, I mean, they were well beyond my comprehension in terms of the types of things they were offering. But so that's probably not a good example.
Mitch, where do you stand on that?
Well, I haven't been a big proponent of the robotics, as you've probably heard at most of the meetings, um, from the get-go. And if there are enough students, and I'm not sure what the cutoff is to make it worthwhile, um, that's really what my interest is to find out. I mean, do we? I don't know if we survey the students. I'm not sure how that's done, but I have not been a big proponent of the robotics from the get go. It started out as a club,
Yeah.
and it's kind of morphed a lot, and a lot of the other people on the board um, have been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So that's the only reason I asked about it. I figured, well, as a service to the other people on the board, even though I don't necessarily agree, um, uh, to be you know, tracking what's going on with it. So
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to
Yeah.
offer
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I'm with you. It's like, it's a big fuss about, I don't know what. And Emery, you've got a pulse, a finger on the state. Can you kind of research this and see where we are now in 2026 as opposed to 2013?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I can look into it more in terms of what districts may be offering robotics courses or a program, and report back for sure.
yeah. Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. Because it seems to me like, we're taking something that was annoying the club, and now we're turning it into a course. So whatever you can find out would be welcome.
Yeah, I'll work on that this summer for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said, Dr. A. Okay. Um, I don't know if there's a way. One big thing I've been very concerned about is the test scores. Um, uh, and I guess we just have to wait that out to see how these new programs like Wit and Wisdom um, that we have purchased and we're going to implement, um, what impact they have on the test scores. Of course, I know everybody is hoping that they go up. I certainly am. Um, and that, but I don't know if you can draw a direct correlation at this time between that. I think there's a lot of variables that affect test scores, and um, uh, so I think it's just something to think about. Um, and I'm not sure how to do that. That's all. That's the only other thing I can think of.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of variables that impact test scores. Attendance, of course, is one. They say the greatest variable that impacts test scores is the teacher that's in front of them. The second greatest variable that affects test score is their principal. And I don't say that to point fingers at someone negatively or positively. That's just the research that's out there. But I do think that when we have materials, and I've said this now for a couple of meetings, but when our teachers have materials that are aligned to the standards right now, I'm just such a firm believer in this that they don't have the right materials. So when you're not starting off with the materials that are at the appropriate grade level, you just, it's almost like, you're trying to use the correct metaphor. If I'm going to, I really like to cook. And so if I'm making a recipe for if I'm making my grandmother's recipe for baked ziti and I don't have the right ingredients, or I'm not following, I'm using her recipe for lasagna, then the recipe is not going to come out. I'm not going to when I go to when I take everything out of the oven, it's not going to taste like my grandmother's recipe. And I just feel like that's kind of the situation that our teachers are in right now. They're not working with the right recipe or the right tools. And I'm so desperately just so desperately believe that they're working from a disadvantage right now. And I really want to make sure that we do everything that we can to support them and our students by at least starting them off with the right tools.
Mhm. So how are you gonna monitor that? I mean, how is the principal of the elementary schools, are the principals being coached?
Yeah.
S- Okay, that's the key, I think.
Yeah, our principals really believe so they've bought in. Obviously, it's been a couple of years since they've been doing the Wit and Wisdom program, and they've really bought into that. But as I've been working with the principals are the ones that have came to me when I first started and said, Emery, we really are in desperate need of a new math program. So the fact that they had buy-in first
Mhm.
was something that I didn't want to come into a district and immediately change a math program. Number one, my background is not in math, so I didn't really feel like that was a good idea. And number two, I never think it's a good idea to come into a new place and make changes right away. But the fact that people, the principals in particular, came to me and said, this is a need and we need your help in initiating this, said to me that they had buy-in and an investment in this. And so once that, they made that clear to me, I felt like, okay, this is, something that once we get started with this, they'll have some investment. And once we brought in, a variety of different resources to look at. We settled on illustrative mathematics. And then our teachers started to, they showed that they had interest, that they liked it. Our principals then, of course, jumped on board with that as well. And the feedback that we got was really positive. And, once you kind of get that initial feedback and that's positive, everyone really gets on board. And so it was like not that difficult, particularly at the elementary level, to get principals saying like, yes, you know, we like what we see. We're going into classrooms, to get them participating in the training. You know, when the teachers are doing it, the principals are sitting there with them so that they can learn. So this has been something that I don't feel like has been a struggle as we've been doing this transition.
What about the writing aspect of it?
The writing aspect of the
The-
math program.
No, forget the math.
You
I'm
mean
interested in the
ELA?
writing part. Yeah, the wit and wisdom.
In the ELA part. Oh, you
Yeah.
know, that's something that I think, you know, we only did again, a one unit as a pilot. So that's something that I think we'll continue to, I have to see more of as we make the transition next year. The grade 7 team was the one that did the pilot at the middle school level. They were really pleased with what they saw. In fact, um, the middle school, not only the middle school 7th grade teachers, but the interventionists as well, could not help but comment about how much, in fact, if anything, they were concerned that we need to do additional work in the other content areas to help support, you know, the students as they make this transition, because they said the expectation is going to be so much higher than what they're used to.
And is the principal uh, being coached in what to look for? So when he goes in to evaluate, he knows what to look for.
He will be part of the training as well. It's going to be important, not only the principal, the assistant principals as well.
Well, yes, I mean the administrators, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Whoever
they'll all need to
whoever
be
is
aware.
evaluating. Yeah,
They'll
whoever
all,
is evaluating.
yeah, they'll all need to be as well, because, you know, I'm sure Dr. Ackerman, you believe this as much as I do. We need to inspect what we expect. And
Mhm.
if you're not doing that, then, you know, I think people will just do whatever it is they were doing
Right.
before.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I'm really concerned that the principals, the administrators really know the the wit and wisdom
The
components, and
expectation. Yeah.
what's it when they go into that classroom to observe? What are they
What
looking
should,
for?
what should
Yeah,
it look like?
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
not only what did it look like, but did it look like what the program that we're buying says it
Yes.
should look like?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've been doing. That's one of the reasons why we're doing walkthroughs this year. We started them at the elementary level, and I mean, we also did them at the middle and high school level, but in particular at the elementary level, we focused on wit and wisdom because we wanted to see what the implementation looked like in the classrooms. And then were we seeing trends? And when we noticed trends in terms of areas maybe that we can improve upon, okay, then so we would identify these trends and say, okay, we know that we are noticing, like maybe, for example, I'm just saying this out of,
Yeah,
I'm not saying a
yeah.
real scenario, but let's say we're noticing in grade 4, we're noticing that, you know, this particular trend. All right, now that we're seeing that this is happening in grade 4 in multiple schools, okay, what can we do? What, you know, professional learning or what strategies can we implement? Um, you know, with our literacy coaches or during our school-based PD so that we can attack this area of need. And so that's what we will do at the middle school level as well.
Okay. Yeah. I want to see that consistency with wit and wisdom implemented.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, it's such a good thing that, you know, we've been doing this now at the elementary level for a couple of years. So the kids are going to come up to the middle school level a little bit stronger with
Yeah.
some of these routines established. And, you know, they're not going to see it right away in 7th and 8th grade, but I think our 6th grade teachers are really going to see, they're going to be surprised at how much stronger that the students are going to come into them this year.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Okay. Was there anything else, Anne Marie?
I don't have anything else today.
I bet I'm the only one who has something.
That you do.
Well, then, let's go.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
This was great.
Okay.
Thank you. This was great.